Brilliance Audio presents Birthday Girl by Matthew Iden, performed by James Anderson Foster. This is the way it happened. They're at the playground. Cece's legs are dangling off the edge of the bench, and she's kicking them in short, angry flicks of her feet. He's had to put her in timeout because she punched the Gilmore boy for pushing her into the dirt. Appearances have to be maintained. He should act upset both for Cece and the other parents, but he is secretly pleased because Patrick Gilmer is a little shit who will grow up to be a much bigger shit if someone like his daughter doesn't put him in his place. Cece knows he's faking. Even as she kicks, her face breaks into the smile she likes to use on him, catching her lower lip with her teeth as she grins. Locks of curly red hair, mysteries that he and Marilyn, both of them brunettes, have pondered the origin of, drop in her face, getting in her eyes, and she brushes them away with a knuckle, a gesture he already knows she'll keep and use as a teenager, a young woman, a mother. He smiles at her, unable to keep up the sham, and she winks back at him. "Come push me, Daddy." "In a second, honey," he calls. He's got a particularly thorny problem at work to solve, so he's put his head in his hands to think when there's a tremendous crash behind him. He literally jumps in the air. A panel truck has slammed into an oncoming car by the edge of the playground. Glass shatters and metal squeals as it is torn away from fenders and bumpers. Children, scared by the noise, are screaming before their parents scoop them up in their arms, afraid, perhaps, there will be an explosion or just out of instinct. Elliott is looking directly at the wreck, but it seems indistinct, lacking detail. He sprints to the edge of the lot anyway, jumps the twisted border fencing. Bystanders are milling around, tending to the drivers. He has no medical training, so he turns instead to the scene by the jungle gym. Kids are screaming. He moves from parent to child to parent in a blur, reassuring and offering a hand. "I'm a psychologist," he says. "Maybe I can help." Sirens wail. Ambulances arrive. Children are distraught. There are tears and murmurs and embarrassed prayers of thanks that it wasn't them. It wasn't their children. The parents shoot him reproachful looks that he doesn't understand. He'd tried to help, hadn't he? Rebuffed, he turns away, then freezes. Cece isn't on the bench or on the swings. She isn't in the playground. She's gone. He lurched upright, gasping, his heart lodged high in his throat like he'd swallowed a baseball. Wide-eyed, he'd glanced around in the dark, trying to place himself. Awareness returned reluctantly in a slow trickle, and it was a long minute before he remembered where he was, when he was, who he was. "My name is Elliott Nash. I was sleeping. A car has crashed nearby." He eased himself back to the dry earth, feeling his heart settle into a weird arrhythmia, a syncopated triplet that made him simultaneously edgy and hopeful. Flat on his back, with the ball of his thumb pressed to his sternum, he stared upward at the struts and cables of the cathedral-like underside of the bridge. Dust rained down as he listened to the aftermath of the traffic accident above, trying to push away the shreds of his nightmare and separate fact from fiction. Yes, he and Cece had been at the playground all those years ago, but there'd been no car crash, no heroic parents staunching the flow of blood. His brain, wonderfully resilient and creative, had simply used what it could find lying around. His bottomless well of guilt, his sensitivity to the world around him, the crash that had just occurred above his head, to cobble together a new and improved nightmare for him. A dream featuring sensory incorporation of external stimuli, as he and his old psychology textbooks had once called it.